Hey everyone, and welcome. Today, we're cutting through all the noise surrounding one of the biggest wellness trends out there, mindfulness. We're going to dive into what the science actually says it is, and more importantly, what it can do to your brain.
I mean, this is the big question, isn't it? Is mindfulness just a fancy buzzword, or is there something real happening here? Well, in this explainer, we're going to dig into the research and find out if there's any measurable, scientific substance behind the hype.
Okay, so let's start with a solid definition. In the world of science, it's actually pretty simple. Mindfulness isn't about reaching some kind of magical, blissed-out state. Nope, it's simply about being aware of what's happening right now, in this very moment, without slapping a label of good or bad on it. It's just an openness to whatever you're thinking, feeling, or sensing. Now, this is a super important point, because it's a huge misconception. A lot of people think mindfulness means you have to sit down and force your brain to go completely blank. But that's not it at all. The real goal is to become an observer of your thoughts. Just watch them float by, kind of like clouds in the sky, without getting carried away by them. It's all about awareness, not absence.
And to make this a little more real, here's a super simple exercise from the source material. You don't need a special room or a cushion or anything. It's a walking meditation. All you do is walk at a nice, gentle pace. Then, you start to pay attention to the sensations, the feeling of your feet hitting the ground, the way your body moves. And finally, you try to sync your breathing with your steps. It's a perfect way to practice that non-judgmental awareness in an everyday activity.
Okay, so that sounds great, but how on earth do you study something like that in a lab? How do you measure it? Well, researchers have come up with some pretty clever, standardized programs so they can test it in a controlled way.
One of the most well-known is called Mindfulness-Based Stress Reduction, or MBSR. It's a structured 8-week program that was developed by John Kabat-Zinn. It uses things like meditation and body scan exercises to teach people how to bring mindfulness into their lives. And because it's a set program, it gives scientists a consistent thing to actually study.
And building on that, there's another 8-week program called Mindfulness-Based Cognitive Therapy, or MBCT. This one's really interesting because it specifically mixes mindfulness practices with proven techniques from cognitive therapy. It was originally designed to help people who've struggled with depression find new ways to handle negative thoughts and feelings to prevent a relapse.
All right, so now that scientists have these standardized programs, they can actually peek inside people's brains to see what's changing. So let's take a quick tour, because a lot of the magic seems to happen in one particular brain network.
So I want you to meet your default mode network, or DMN for short. You can think of this as your brain's autopilot. It's the network that lights up when you're not really focused on a task. When your mind is just wandering or daydreaming or thinking about yourself. Now, the DMN is especially active when we're doing something called rumination. And if you've ever found yourself stuck replaying a negative thought or a worry again and again and again, you know exactly what this feels like. It's that mental hamster wheel that you just can't seem to hop off of. But here's where it gets really fascinating. It turns out not all rumination is created equal. Research suggests there's a big difference between what they call adaptive rumination, which can actually help with problem solving, and maladaptive rumination, which is that negative, sticky kind that's linked to depression. And get this, scientists have found that these two types of rumination are tied to totally different patterns of brain activity in the DMN. And this table just lays it out so clearly. In healthy individuals, that more helpful, adaptive kind of rumination is linked to low connectivity inside the front part of the DMN, but strong connections between the front and back parts. But in patients who were in remission from depression, researchers saw the complete opposite pattern, which they think might be the neural basis for that negative maladaptive rumination. It's an incredible look at the actual wiring behind our thought habits. Okay, so we're seeing actual changes in brain networks. That's cool, but so what? What does that actually mean for how we feel day to day? How does this jump from a brain scan into real-life benefits? Well, when researchers pull together the results from dozens and dozens of studies in what they call meta-analyses, a really clear picture starts to form. Mindfulness-based programs are consistently shown to help reduce anxiety, depression, and stress. Some of these huge reviews even find that for certain issues, these programs can be just as effective as more traditional therapies. And the benefits aren't just psychological. Let's take a look at something incredibly difficult to treat: chronic pain. Can mindfulness really make a difference here too? So check this out. One study looked at people who had survived a stay in the ICU but were left with chronic pain.
Before they started the 8-week MBSR program, their average daily pain score on a scale from 0 to 10 was 4.17.
And after the 8 weeks, that score dropped down to 3.54. Now, that might not sound like a huge jump, but it's a statistically significant reduction. They also found that the pain interfered less with their mood and their sleep. So this suggests that mindfulness can change not just our thoughts, but our actual physical experience of sensations like pain.
So, the really crucial takeaway here is that this isn't just about simple relaxation. The evidence is pointing to mindfulness as a form of mental training, and its applications are being explored in all kinds of different areas of life. And the research really shows clear benefits for a surprisingly wide range of people. We're talking about studies finding that it helps students deal with academic stress, improves PTSD symptoms in veterans, reduces burnout for doctors and nurses, and, like we just saw, helps patients better manage chronic pain.
So when you put this all together, the big idea isn't that mindfulness is some kind of magical cure. What the science is really telling us is that it's a form of targeted mental exercise. And just like going to the gym can change your body, this kind of mental training can actually cause what scientists call neuroplasticity, real physical changes in your brain's structure and function that can lead to better well-being. Which leaves us with a pretty powerful final thought. The science is suggesting that our brain's default settings, well, they aren't totally set in stone. It seems that with consistent practice, we have the ability to strengthen certain neural pathways and maybe even create new ones. So the real question becomes, what new patterns will you choose to create? Thanks for digging into this with us today.